Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And for the subject of this video, I'm going to be discussing, well, a genre that I haven't really discussed yet on any of my videos. Because for the most part, I'm staying away from mostly doing TV shows. I've done some, but not a whole slew of them. So this time I'm going to do a particular genre, and that's game shows. But I'm specifically going to be talking about one that I'm going to be discussing in this video, which is my favorite game show of all time when I was a kid, called Pressure Luck, which aired on CBS from 1983 to 1986, before when the count was 4 years. It was hosted by Period to Market, and this was also at the time one of the more popular game shows. But unfortunately, like I said earlier, after 1986 it ended. For some reason, the show unexpectedly ended, which I was deeply disappointed about, because by the end of the 80s, there wasn't many game shows left on television. Uh, well, the Game Show Network came about during the like late '90s, early 2000s. The Game Show Network came along, and they were re-airing a lot of these game shows that I grew up watching. And I used to watch a lot of these game shows when I was a kid, because it was, for one reason or another, it was home from school, for vacations, or had a day off from school, or that I was homesick. They had a bed, so I had nothing to do, so I was watching a lot of TV, and I watched, particularly the day on during the week, Monday through Friday, they show a lot of game shows, and they either would show either cartoons real early in the morning before we went off to school, and then we had the early morning talk shows, Regis or whatever. Then, of course, from 10 o'clock to maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock, they would show game shows, and then from 12 or 12:30 to about 4 in the afternoon, when we finally had the show soap operas. But about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, they show cartoons again, and or game shows, depending on the channel you're looking at. So there's a bunch of game shows. There's about maybe nowadays maybe like four game shows on regular television today. You have Price is Right, which has been on since for over 40 years consecutively. You have Family Feud, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and of course at night you have Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, which is about like five game shows. When I was a kid, it used to be like maybe like triple that, triple or even quadruple that. It used to be like 20 different, 15 to 20 different game shows. But I'm talking about one specifically, one that's Pressure Luck, which is my favorite one, which is like the game show of the mid 80s, because it played like a video game. The premise of Pressure Luck was, you have three specific players, and it's divided up into 4 rounds. And you have a question and answer round, then you have a spin where you earn spins on the board. Then you have the round when you first round of the board. Then you have a second question and answer round. Then you earn spins, and then you get the big round again, on the big board again. And then you have to avoid the whammy. Now the whammy is a character. If you land on that spot, you have to hit a button that says stop. Land on a specific square. You earn either money, or a trip, or furniture, or a computer, or you get a desk, or bedroom furniture, or lawn furniture, something. The most of the prizes given on Pressure Level was cash. And if you happen to hit on a spot which had a whammy, which is a cartoon character, you lose whatever money and prizes you earned up to that point. Now, on the question, when you earn spins on the board, is you have to answer questions correctly. If you have to buzz in to a multiple choice question and get the question correct, you get 3 spins. But if you happen to agree with the answer that the person who buzzed in got it, you get 1 spin. So if you get a correct answer and you wasn't the contestant who buzzed in, you get 1 question. No 1 question, you get 1 spin. If you haven't been buzzed in and get the question right, you get 3. So you get the advantage of more spins if you buzzed it and not agreeing to the answer, correct answer. Um, and the show was, pretty successful, pretty popular because it was, and if you haven't, was pretty popular because of the tension that was there, and see if someone would hit a whammy. And the only way to be eliminated from the game is if you land on 4 whammies. If you land on the whammy 4 times during the course of the 2 bonus rounds, you are eliminated from the game. And that happened a few times on the show. But the most infamous moment in the history of Press Your Luck was what happened. I think it was actually the TV tape. Was on May 19th, 1984. And I do remember this episode actually airing. I think it aired during the summer, and I did. I believe I remember seeing the episode as it aired on originally aired, because I do remember this episode airing. I think it was either I happened to be either on summer vacation or I happened to be on Christmas vacation, and this episode aired. I happened to be a contestant named Michael Lawson, and there was a whole documentary on, like almost an hour and a half documentary that the Game Show Network did back in 2003 on the 19th anniversary. I think it might have aired on the 19th anniversary of the taping of the show. I happened to see it like 3 years, a year later. I got cable, and after 10 years of having cable, I got cable again, and I got a Game Show Network, and I happened to see this documentary, and I love this documentary, and the documentary is on YouTube. It's called Big Bucks: The Press Your Luck Scandal. Look for it, and it's very interesting. And it's also you have Opie and Anthony also has a video up here on YouTube discussing the Press Your Luck thing, and they did get a couple of facts wrong or messed up from the game. What happened was that Michael Lawson tried out it was like an unemployed ice cream truck driver. He tried out for the show, and at first the guy who was screening the contestants didn't want to put him on. But he was overruled by one of the producers, and they put him on anyway. And what Michael Lawson did was he was, like I said, he was unemployed, and so he spent a lot of time watching Press Your Luck, and it was in the early days of the VCR. So he videotaped episodes and episodes of Press Your Luck. And he watched it and rewatched those episodes, and he figured out how to beat the game board. Because the board was, of course, run by a computer. One of those old-fashioned computer systems at that time. I mean, really old. I mean, old by today's standards, but it was modern back then, 1984. When the episode was filmed with Michael Lawson, was 1984. It was like modern by 1984 standards, but of course old-fashioned by 2015 standards. So what happened was he figured out the pan, because they had 5 specific pans. On the Opie and Anthony thing, they said, they had like 10 pans. It wasn't, or 4 pans. They actually had 5 pans. 5 pans of 16 squares. I mean, each specific one is 15 pans. Flashed on 16 different squares on this board. On the big. Excuse me, I fixed my chair here. They have specific pans, and so what happened was Michael Lawson figured out the specific pan which we could hit on the big money amounts on the top of the board on the on my right side of the board, and the pan he figured out was 2, 12, 1, 9, 4. And if we count the squares clockwise, he figured out it was like 2, 12, 1, 9, 4. And that was the specific pattern he was looking for. Because when he hit, there's like 2 squares on the board, which are whammy. And 2 specific squares, it was not programmed to have a whammy in it. And when he figured out the pan, first he figured out the 5 pans, and where the number 4 square would line up and the number 9 square would line up on the 8 square. It was like 7 or 8 square. Never had a whammy appear in those two specific squares. So if you could figure out the patterns where those numbers appeared in the specific patterns, he would never lose. Of course, he never knew what money amount he'll get. But he figured out that those two specific squares never had a whammy. So if he figured out where the sequences were and how fast, and also he had that fast reflexes because he didn't know the timing of how fast the square will stay lit. So he had to work on his reflexes to stop the board at the right time so that he wouldn't get a whammy and to get the big dollar amounts. And he figured out he ended up getting like over $110,237 on a one day. He learned he spun like 44 consecutive times without hitting on a whammy. His very first spin, he did hit a whammy. He never hit on a whammy after that. And what the Opie Anthony video got wrong was, they changed the rules on so he wouldn't come back again. Well, the rules on Pressure Luck were that if you got more than $25,000 in total winnings, if you got at least $25,000 or more than $25,000 in total winnings, you'll be retired as a champ. Or if you won the show for 5 days, whatever comes first. If you won the show for 5 consecutive days, or if you won more than at least $25,000 or more, you'll be retired as champ. Whatever comes first. So what Michael Lawson did, he won over $110,000, which was the most in a single day that anybody has ever won on a game show at that time. And of course, he had to be retired as champ. Now, the thing was at CBS, at first they didn't want to give Michael Lawson the money because they felt that he cheated. So for a long time, they delayed as much as possible to give Michael Lawson the money because they felt that he cheated. But they replayed the game, or they rewatched the taping of the game, and he played it fairly. There was nothing. There was really nothing that the producers of Pressure Luck and CBS, because it was a CBS show. It wasn't. Unlike Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, which were syndicated shows. And that there was a bunch of game shows that were syndicated, even at that time. But the Pressure Luck wasn't. It was a network show. And CBS didn't want to give him the money, or CBS didn't want to give him the money because they felt he cheated. But he played the game fairly, and even though he figured out the system, he did play it honestly. Within the rules of the game, he played fair. He didn't do anything extraordinary except figuring out what the system was. And I do remember the time that they did, because he ran for so long, especially in the second round of the game, when they had the first round you had the smaller, in Pressure Luck, they had a smaller amount, and they had the huge amount of money. By the second round, they doubled it. And the big buck spot, which is the fourth square on the top row of the board, if you go clockwise, they had the bigger amounts in the second round. You have $3,000. They usually like 1 of 3 spots, or squares that fit in that particular square. $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000. So it's a big amount. And the bottom square is the big bucks, which immediately put you up on the number 4 square for the 5,000 for the big bucks, or what we call big bucks. And he figured out, but the funny thing is that Michael Lawson lost all that money. What happened is that he did have the money in the bank, but he took all the money out in $1 bills because he heard a radio contest that if you match a serial number on a dollar bill, because actually dollar bills, no matter what denomination is, $1, $5, $20, whatever it is. They all have serial numbers on it. And if you match the serial number on a dollar bill, you get like a $5,000 prize or $1,000 prize, whatever the hell it was. And he left the money in the house, and his house was broken into, and somebody stole the money. Schmuck. And in 1999, about 15 years after he beat the system of pressure luck, he died of throat cancer. But I do remember when the episode aired, they broke it up into 2 episodes because he ran off for so long. And I think you can see the full episode on YouTube as well. So you can see the original episode, and you can also see the documentary that I'm talking about called the Pressure Luck Scandal, which is a very, very interesting documentary. And they brought in the 2 players who Michael Lawson played against in that episode. But unfortunately, Peter DeMarco and so long, God love him. I mean, he's not here with us anymore. He died in a plane crash back in, I think, early part of 2006. He died in a plane crash, or late 2005. But he was in this documentary as well. So was the 2 players. So was all the producers involved. All the other the 2 players were interviewed. And it is an interesting documentary because I didn't know they even had a documentary on this. Because I do remember that in 1994, on the 10th year anniversary of the Michael Lawson games, the Robert Redford movie called Quiz Show, which is about the original game show scandals back in the 1950s. Michael Lawson was interviewed by Good Morning America because he beat the system of pressure luck. And I do remember at that time that they did publicize this game and publicize the fact that he beat the pressure luck system. What the pressure luck did, the producers did, they added 16. They went from 5 pans to, I think they upped it to like 16 pans. So it made it real tough. But I think that because of the Michael Lawson game, the show lasted like another 2 years, and that was it. And then when the Game Show Network came along, they re-aired a lot of these episodes. But according to them, according to Peter DeMarco, who narrated this special, this documentary, he said it would never air again until they made this documentary for the Game Show Network, which is not true. When the Pressure Luck went off the air, it did go into syndication, the reruns, and it aired originally on the USA Network, and those episodes did air. I do remember seeing them on the USA Network. Back in like the late 80s or early 90s when the show was in reruns. But Pressure Luck still remains one of my favorite game shows of all time. I might, depending on how well this video does in terms of getting hits, I might do a review of other game shows as I remember as I was a kid. You realize there's now a new over-the-air channel called Buzzer TV, which is now, I think it might have started this week or last week. I'm not sure exactly when the show started. I think that's found out this week as I'm doing this video. And they're airing a lot of the old shows called Pressure Luck, which I'm doing this review of. And those doing Match Game and not the original Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall. I know there's a new version of Let's Make a Deal now with Wayne Brady. I forgot to mention that particular show. There's also they've done the old Family Feud with Richard Dawson, which I know there's plenty of clips of the dumb answers from Family Feud with Richard Dawson. And I suggest you check those out if you want to have a good laugh and see how stupid these answers are for some of these people. And Pressure Luck, you did have a couple of dumb answers, but not during the answer quiz answer rounds. But not as much as some of the other game shows they had back when I was a kid. I like I said, I love watching these old game shows. And my father said, "Oh, how can you like watching all these shows?" Because when I was a kid, I was sick so many times. When I was a kid, in elementary school, junior high school, I would stay home and watch all these game shows when I was sick. I used to watch them all the time, and One thing that my mother used to watch these game shows with me too sometimes. If she's not, um, if she didn't have errands to run, she didn't have to go to the store or something, she'll sit down and watch these game shows with me, and that's why, a good memories of my mother watching these, watching Pressure Luck with me, because she liked watching the whammies, because there's like different cartoons, like anime whammies, and they do all kinds of silly things. Remember the one that the person named Elvis or Tammy White or singer Tammy Wynette or doing something like with Jaws when he was riding a shark and you hear the Jaws music. It was really wasn't one of the more entertaining game shows because of the animated graphics for the whammies. And you always like to see somebody whammy out. But not Michael Lawson. He whammy. He whammy out. I mean, getting 4 whammies in a round of the game. I'd like to see how many whammies actually will show up. But like I said, this is my review of Pressure Luck. Please click on the video, please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. And also you can check out my older videos on rowdyc.com. That's ROWDY, letterc.com. Plus you can also check out my videos on all of my videos, including ones that I haven't done reviews on, or videos that I personally shot. They didn't upload on YouTube. They have uploaded on YouTube, but they're not videos. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.